What's up YouTube, this is Joe from Zephyr Digimon, and I'm just doing a quick video update to, if you haven't seen the news already, but as Digimon fans for the TCG, you probably have on other people's channels. But yes, as you can see, we have a brand new restriction list effective from the 28th of March for the Digimon TCG. I'm going to go through each individual card and give you guys my personal take on how this list affects certain decks, and how it could probably affect the format overall as a whole. What you're going to probably see less of, you're going to probably see more of, maybe. Yeah, bits and bobs like that kind of thing. So, if you enjoyed this video, if you want to give us a like and subscribe, if you feel like it, obviously. Yes, so if you enjoy this content here, giving us those likes and those subscriptions really does help us a lot. We greatly do appreciate it. And all the love and support that you guys have been giving us. I've been, ecstatic and super hyped, and I've been loving it all, and I really want to say thank you to that. So, with all that said and done, let's get into this new ban list. So, unfortunately, I was going to have this up on the World Digimon TCG YouTube website, as they do then sometimes gives their thoughts and opinions on why they've hit certain cards, that kind of thing. They give us like a good reasoning explanation, but unfortunately they haven't done that as of yet, as of recording this video, so we're just going to have to go through this image that we have here. So, as you can see, we have one banned card, and that is BT2 Makishida. Honestly, I'm not surprised with this hit. This card has been very abusive within the Purple Hybrid deck. If I were to say what I would have personally done, I would have personally just choice restricted, like ban paired both Matt and Duskmon, preventing that loop entirely while also allowing other purple decks to still utilize Makishida, because I think as a purple tamer, he's like a very nice purple tamer. He's probably the best memseta purple has still as of yet. That is generic. So the complete ban, I think, is a bit too harsh, but I'm, again, not surprised that they kind of done that. As you see, we have another banned pair to go along with the Zubamon promo, and that is Mother Shoto and Mother D Reaper and Shoto Kazuma. Yeah, I'm not surprised with this hit. Personally, I was on the not sure if it's still his opinion, like at least his old opinion of East, where like this was just a nice budget engine for newer players to get into the game competitively. They could slap this in the deck that they're currently playing, and it gives them a little bit of a fighting edge to combat these more aggressive, hyper-offensive decks. But yeah, I know this was a very unpopular pairing within the game. A lot of people wanted this to get this pair banned, so again, not surprised. Along with the Makishida, I'm not surprised that they kind of done this hit, as it's just something that the player base has just been screaming. And so if I didn't hit this list, didn't do this pair ban, I think it'd be very bad publicity for them. So yeah, so I'm not surprised with this. I know my mate Joe, he's not happy because he has alt up mothers that he now just doesn't want to use because he doesn't play D-Reaper naturally. So yeah, other decks can still play Shoto. They can still utilize it as a blocker, but unfortunately D-Reaper players out there, you can't. So, newly restricted cards, so all these are going to be put to one, as you can see down here. So first off, I'm going to go through these two together. Blinding Rain and Jack Raid. Both of these have just been, like, in my opinion, disgusting cards. I really don't like these kind of cards. I kind of wish Gravity Crush was also on here, even though it's a red player as I am. I think these kind of like zero cost options that just generate memory for you for free, I think they're just very unhealthy for the game currently. Back in the early days, they were perfectly fine when the game was first starting off, but now that the game has sped up a bit, I honestly think that these cards just need to go. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gravity Crush also joins these cards in the distant future. Mirage, finally, get rid of it. It's gone. I know it's at 1. You can still technically play Mirage, but this card is now less consistent. Less people are going to be playing it because of how less consistent it is. Galaxy players will probably still take this as a one-off. You'll probably see this maybe teched off as a one. Basically, it's going to have the Anubis one treatment. People are going to be playing it as one, but you're not going to be seeing Mirage as a deck anymore. People are just not going to be playing that deck anymore. The deck can still be played as a fun casual deck. You still have plenty of Mirages that you can still play if you want to play like a burst mode turbo. But yes, Mirage as a deck, it's gone. We're not going to be seeing that anymore. It's now just going to be a one-off blue tech for blue decks. So really happy with this. The deck has just been in the game way too long, at least for us in the English. Yes, I'm really glad that this is just now hit. It's gone. It's dead. Fenrir Lugamon. I should really have like the stats that these are in. This is the one that lets you play the Kazuchi mon for the Takamika deck. The Takamika deck, in my opinion, is just now dead competitively. It's just now unplayable. The deck's just now going to go back to the old Luga. You'll probably have some players mixing the two variants. What it means is they'll probably play the old Fenrir Luga, where it's like Fenrir Luga spits out bodies, it goes wide, it does alliance checks on his own, that kind of thing, pushes for an OTK as a level 6. You'll probably have some people taking in maybe like one of these and maybe some Kazuchis to go into the Takamika, if they have that play available at the time. But yeah, you're going to probably be seeing Lugamon still, but you're going to be seeing it in its old variant maybe. If you're going to be seeing Takumi Kazuchi in any way, shape, or form, it's going to be with the New Seekers variant. It's going to be the New Seekers deck. They're going to be using that evolution line as a whole, and you're going to be seeing people doing it that way. But yes, Fenrir Luga has got a big hit. Honestly, if it was me, I would have hit the Balmon instead. I think the Balmon is way more of a disgusting card than the Takamika was. The Takamika is just, does 4 checks quickly, nice and easy. But unless they've had additional checks in there or they had enough cards to go into another additional line, they're not going to finish you off in that way. They're going to put you down to like 1 or 0 security, but so you're on the verge of losing, but you're still going to have like 1 additional play, maybe. But I think the Balmon letting you climb up for essentially free, because level 7 is just going to pull the memory back, keeping your turn. I think that's just way too bad. I don't think that's really good for design. It should have been once per turn if they wanted to have a card like that for the deck. But yeah, so Fenrir Luga gone. The Takamika deck is going to be heavily underused. This is going to probably go back to the old Luga. Kazuhamon. Honestly, Kazuha's at fine at 1. There's nothing wrong with it. My mate Joe was like asking me, like, does Kazuha at 1 kill the deck? I'm like, no. The deck is still perfectly playable. This is obviously for, if you're out there, is for Talmon loop, where you just use Talmon, Ace, and Kazuha, and you essentially go wide, playing options for free. Because you're using options, the Kazuha spits out a Talon from your source, and then you just get that on-play effect, and you just keep climbing up. You keep climbing wide. That way, letting you go into things like Ruin mode, like double Ruin modes, like Ruin mode and lock your opponent, or you go into the Chaos on Volder arm, and we had and like lock your opponent's on-play effects. This hits for that. The deck is still perfectly playable. If you really wanted to play Talmon loop, you'd essentially just replace those Talmons, those Kazuhas with Kaiser Nail, which then allows the BT19 Sakuya to use Kaiser Nail for free. Kaiser Nail spits out your Talmon Ace, which then lets you go do the whole play again. It takes an additional card to allow the loop to fully work. But the deck is still perfectly playable. You can still do the loop. It just takes a little bit more resources to do so. In terms of like will I see the deck being played, do I think the deck will still be played? Honestly, I don't think the deck will be played as much anymore because of the additional resources the combo needs to do. You'll probably get some die-hard players playing it, and if that's probably the only way I'll probably see the loop being played. I think with this hit, people are just now going to go to pure Sakuya X build, considering that build is actually doing pretty well at the moment in Japan. It's kind of like the best version of Sakuya. But yeah, for me personally, I'm going to be taking one Kazuha in Sakuyamon. Just if I have that option available to go wide, I'm going to do so. Agunimon promo and Lobomon promo. I'm going to talk about these two together. Finally, they are gone. These are on the same similar lines as the Blinding Rain Jack raid. I think at the time that they were released, they were fine. The game wasn't nearly. I'm using them as abusively, but I think as the game has gone on, we've got a new ancients for these guys. I think that the things that these guys do is just way too oppressive. I think they really pushed those decks way faster than needed to be. And yeah, so I'm glad that these promos are now limited to one. In terms of how the decks are played, I know my mate Shane has seemingly given up on Burning Greymon, the Ancient Greymon deck. Honestly, I think the decks are still perfectly playable. Having these at one, you have multiple ways to search these cards out. You can easily get into them. As the decks are being built, they're being more built towards using memory boosts and trainings. You can still use those to get to these cards if you really need to get access to them. You recycle them constantly with your ancients. So once you've seen one of them, you're essentially looping the same one over and over and over again. And then the decks has been given new ways to get into the ancients. You can still get into the ancients pretty easily. So yeah, I think the hybrids, the red and blue hybrids, in my personal opinion, you'll still be seeing them on a competitive level. They've just been kicked down a notch a little bit and to be less oppressive. And that's kind of like what this ban list is kind of like trying to do. It's just trying to make these decks less oppressive, but still keep them playable. The only playable deck that has just been completely neutered is the Mother Shoto's decks. Those have been neutered. You can't do that pairing anymore. But everything else has just been perfectly fair. Like, none of these have been deck killing. All of these decks still have one, like, a way or two to keep on playing. The last card on the list, as you can see, is Stingmon from the starter deck. I've been pointed out that essentially now, technically, that starter deck is now illegal to play out the box because it gives you 2 Stingmons. So yeah, that's pretty humorous. But yeah, starter deck Stingmon. I think this is probably the only thing on the list that I would disagree with. I think this card was fine. The actual cards that were making the deck like completely unfair was the XP and Sting that give you memory on Jogress. I think those were completely unnecessary for the deck. The deck did not need those kind of cards. Those two generate too much advantage for the deck in terms of like you shouldn't be able to DNA for positive memory. Like you should have never been able to do that. The deck should have never been able to do that. So I think hitting the Stingmon was completely incorrect in my opinion. The deck does lose a lot of draw power. It does lose its cheap to play level 4, but the deck had cheap every deck. The deck has every card. Every level 4 is cheap to play when you have inherents that give you end of turn DNA, and then when you have combining that with the 2 champions that generate you memory, you essentially have 2 cost level 4s. In that personal opinion, like both those level 4s, I believe cost 4 to play. I might be mistaken, or if they do, they cost 5. So the effects are giving them a memory, so they've essentially reduced their play costs anyway. Combining the 2, they've greatly reduced their play costs. Yeah, I honestly think this was incorrect in my opinion. We'll see how it goes. I'm personally not a Imperial player competitively. I know how the deck plays. I've seen the deck in action. I've faced it multiple times. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the Stingmon is going to do. I think the deck is still completely playable. They've got multiple ways to replace this card. So again, it's what I was saying before. This ban list has been an actually nice ban list because it hasn't killed any of these decks. Again, just other than that pair ban. All the decks that these cards hit, the decks can still be perfectly played. I think they've just been kicked down to be less super speedy, less oppressive, less turbo, and just try to get everything onto an even playing field. The only overall, I think what you're going to be seeing, I don't think you're going to be seeing purple hybrid now nearly as much. I think a lot of players had that mindset like, if I can't do the loop, the deck is dead. So with the banning of match, you'll probably now see much less purple hybrid players. Blinding Ray, Jack Ray, that hits Magnum on X essentially, and purple hybrid again. So yeah, I think you're going to be seeing a lot less purple hybrids now. If you are, you're going to be seeing it as just like an engine for anything else for other purple decks. As Dusk Vulgar and Louis is a nice little engine that you can utilize. Mirage as a pure deck is now dead. That's probably one of the only other things that's just now been looted. Unless you're going to be seeing that deck's just now converted into Burst Mode Turbo. That's the only other way I can see that deck being played competitively. Otherwise, March is still going to be one of Tech for Blue decks. Fenriluga DNA, you're going to be seeing that now as the Seekers variant. They really want to push that variant now. Otherwise, you're going to probably see it now as the old Lugamon, Fenriluga Turbo. Talmon Loop can still be played, but it's going to be less consistent. The hybrid decks, red and blue, they're still going to be playable. The Ancients, you're just going to be seeing the less of the promos, and Imperial is just basically untouched. They just kind of like gave that deck a slap on the wrist, and he's like, no, bad, naughty. And that's just like, okay, cool. And I resume playing. The deck's fine. Yes, that's the ban list for March 28, 2025 for the Digimon Tcg. What are you guys' opinions on the ban list? Do you think this was good? What else would you have rather seen being hit? Do you think any of these would you be swapping out? Like I probably would have swapped out from Beluga for Balmon, and I would have swapped the Sting one for the XV and Sting that generate memory. What would you guys have done? Leave your comments down below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time, as always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.